Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Folks, welcome back. Hope you had a great start to your week. The Sabres could have had a better weekend as they were unable to notch non-regulation wins against two non-regulation losses, I should say, against the Rangers and the Capitals. And let's get our crew in here as we get ready for game night against the Blackhawks. We got intern Vinny, we got Gatesy, and of course, we got Dwayne Mania. Folks, how are we doing as we get ready for a big Sabres game night against the Blackhawks?
Not too bad. It's been a nice, easy 2 days off. And I've literally done nothing today, so it was good.
Yeah, it's another Monday in the books after a nice weekend. The weather is not great, but some would say it's hockey weather, so we'll sort of take that into consideration as we get towards puck drop tonight at the United Center. I'm looking forward to a good game tonight. It's a couple of teams that are struggling this year, but a couple of fun players on both sides, so it should be a good one.
Hey, totally understandable. And obviously they'll take on a familiar face tonight in Patrick Kane. Wow, it was amazing when I checked the stats that he had 78 points on the year, obviously having another good season on his end. With that, Dwayne, as a fan, do you get a little bit more up for this Pat Kane matchup?
Yeah, no, we've seen it a lot, quite a bit over the years. I was actually at, it was funny, I was at his debut against Buffalo in his rookie season when he scored almost immediately. He scored so fast his dad didn't even make it to his seat after the traditional opening faceoff because it was such a big deal that a Buffalo kid went first overall. But with that being said, he's kind of like in the twilight of his career, not getting up there in age, like he's still younger than me, but to the point where, they're in the midst of a rebuild here. They've traded away an important piece at the deadline. There's a lot of question marks around him and Teus. You saw they traded a Marc-Andre Fleury, so they're really building for the future. So I think this might be I think you could definitely see a Patrick Kane trade in the offseason. I think it's very possible.
Wow. And Gatesy, thoughts on getting up for this Blackhawks matchup? Are they going to be able to do it, on a back-to-back? And then what does that make this? The third in the last 4 day nights? Am I miscounting?
It's definitely been a busy schedule to be a Sabres fan, even just a Buffalo sports fan. I mean, you got the train wreck Buffalo sports or just Buffalo bracket going on, very busy. But, I mean, a lot of overtime games. I mean, this team's played a lot of minutes in a short amount of time. But, I mean, they kind of proven themselves this past month. They can bring it when adversity is there. So I think tonight's going to be another time to prove it.
And before we get too deep into this Blackhawks matchup, again, you always get up for the Patrick Kane factor. But how are you, again, it was 2 losses, but I kind of like the way they fight against the Capitals, and I like the way they fight against the Rangers. I think historically, the last 3 or 4 years, when they get down 2 goals early, that was pretty much it. But this team showed some grit and came back on 2 separate occasions against the Rangers, gentlemen. So curious your thoughts on that grit, that poise, and that determination from that group. But it was something Don Cranado talked about in the postgame.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think if you think of the Sabres teams over the past couple of years, they were notoriously teams that sort of just once they got in a hole, they couldn't really do much about it. Now, if you think back to like the 10-game win streak, those were a lot of overtime games. There were a lot of flaws throughout the years, but one of the big criticisms of this team is that they couldn't once they were in a deficit, they just couldn't do anything about it. Earlier in the year, if you guys remember, the Sabres were a team that would get out early and then they would give up big leads, and that was sort of a sign that maybe the team had good things coming, but they weren't able to put everything together yet. Now I think you're on the other side of that coin. Their inability to sort of in these at least last 2 games to get out early and start fast and sort of find themselves in a hole, but yet to climb out of that hole late in these games is a sign of good things to come for the team. And I think it's really promising.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't able to watch that first half of the game, but I saw that the updates on Twitter, that was 2-0 early, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be an ugly game. And then next thing I know, the game's tied, and I'm like, this team has some spunk and fight to it. I mean, we've seen this team have a 2-goal lead and fall apart and not have any momentum, but this team seems to almost thrive being down, and they're comfortable being the underdog and taking it to teams when they really don't have the power to.
Seriously, and obviously it's a road game tonight, and I'm glad we have Dwayne for this one, but obviously the talk of the Buffalo sports world today was around the new stadium, getting signed off on $850 million in public money. Meanwhile, I mean, and this isn't like, I don't think this is any flack. It's a pretty well-known fact that, there are some areas of KeyBank Center that have been less than cared for over the past 3 to 5 years. So with that said, with that all taken into account, outside of a major renovation, let's kind of limit it down here, because I know if you asked Dwayne, he would say just dynamite it and replace the whole thing. With that said, if you could make 2 to 3 renovations to the KeyBank Library or KeyBank Center, as we sometimes call it here, on Crossing Swords Side, what might those be? Anyone could top this off, because I know this is always a constant discussion idea, especially when you're talking about the fan engagement and showing respect to the fan base. The first thing that I would do, and this isn't even for the fan experience, I would take down the banners that are involved with sponsorships. Like I respect Seneca Niagara Casinos, but there shouldn't be a Seneca Niagara Casino banner up next to Dominic Hasek. Like they are not the same.
No. I'll let Carson start it off, and then shoot over to Vinny, and I'll end it with my thoughts, because I'll probably take longer than everybody else. So.
That's fair. I mean, I haven't been to KeyBank in a couple of years living out of the area, but from what I do remember, like the scoreboard compared to other major sports teams has fallen behind, especially when you host like March Madness and you got garbage bags covering up the Sabres logo. Like
the garbage bags was unbelievable. Like and shitty looking garbage bags, not ones that were like tight, like on like the logos. So at least they look like clean the way they're covered. Like literally like loose bags of garbage hanging from the scoreboard.
If I may interject quickly, I don't know if that was necessarily the Sabres doing the garbage bags.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah.
No, I'm not blaming any party. I'm just saying it looked terrible.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree at all. Sorry. Yeah, continue. You're good.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, the seats are they've seen some time. I mean, my first Sabres game seems like forever ago, and it's the same seats that were there, it seems like, and it's a very just almost like a relic of a building at this point. It's not, a brand new stadium, but it's not the odd. It's just kind of stuck in that middle ground.
That's a good point. I think one of the things that I would probably do that maybe this doesn't have anything to do with the actual building in and of itself, I would bring the air raid siren back after the goal horn. I'm a stickler about that one. So if I need to change anything, I want to do that. Secondly, in terms of the actual building, I think the entrance just needs a little bit more pop. Like, I think it's not really it doesn't look cool, and now obviously it's just a bland building in general. But I think if they could do a couple more things, maybe around the entrance where you actually walk into the building to make it sort of at least attractive on the outside, that might help to bring some people in. Obviously, the French Connection statue is awesome. I've always really, really liked that. Maybe update the mural outside the building to include some jerseys or players or something. Although I guess if you put a player on the mural, maybe that might mean they'll leave. So maybe they're being a little bit too cautious about that. So I don't know if there's really too much you can do, because there's not really a lot of space down there. But I think the entrance would be a little more attractive, would certainly be something helpful for that arena.
Yeah, for me, just to go on a few points. First thing I would do is replace literally all the seats, every single one. Like, there's so many
nice and cheap.
Like that's where you start. That's you start from the bottom, you build up, right? And I've told this story a lot, but me and my cousin, when my cousin had seasons that I split with him for many years, it was center ice in the 300s, and when I was at a game with a different cousin, we had nachos, double cheese, and the container broke, and the cheese went all over this guy in front of us. Had a not a leather, but like a fake leather jacket, luckily, so it wiped right off. But that cheese ended up all over the back and side of the seat to this day. And now, mind you, this was at least 6-7 years ago. That dried up cheese is still on that seat. That is a fact. Last time I went to a game, I went and checked. Still there.
That's what we call leftovers. Nachos and cheese ain't cheap.
So you have to update the seats. Start from the bottom, work your way up. Make fans comfortable at least while they're there. In terms of just like in-game entertainment, absolutely. New scoreboard, update. That big, bulky look to it. I hate that. You look at other arenas around the league, it's such a more updated, modern look, thinner even. Just make it look more, updated and modern. Not like literally it looks at the same friggin' jumbotron almost that fell on the ice back in 96, 97. Which was awesome, by the way. But in terms of in-game experience, honestly, what the NHL All-Star game this year, I think it was the All-Star game, they did that entrance with the drone. Do you guys remember that? Where it the drone kind of started? Stuff like be creative. It's an inexpensive way to be creative with a drone. Like it's a drone. Bring it in, maybe that flies by the locker room, the players while they're, warming up or taping their sticks and the thing. And then you bring them in, and that's how you bring the players out for warm-ups or stuff like that. Intrigue your fan base a little bit. All you gotta do is just try. Make the effort. You can't just play an old, throw a Goo Goo Doll song on or whatever song it is of the year. Make some, bland and, blue collar city, video montage to start the season and think you've done your job. No, not at all. And in terms of just the outside when you walk in, how much longer are we gonna have to wait for Dominic Hasek to get his respect out in that alumni?
Oh no, we're into that.
Honest to God, absolutely, we're into that. No, absolutely.
We got a slippery slope alert, folks. We only got 2 minutes here.
I'm not gonna sit here and yell and scream about it because I think I've done enough of that already.
I love that you have that on tap. But yeah,
there's you can because I know you can talk for hours about the Dominic Hasek. And if you had your way, you would make a time machine and redo the ceremony and everything. I get it. Tonight, speaking of Hasek, it's a great segue, and that's why Dwayne's a pro on the show here, brought to you by the place to buy a case, Outlet Liquor. Let's get those predictions in, guys. Puck drop just about 120 seconds away. Let's go around the horn. Gatesy, Vinny, and Dwayne to close this out.
I like the way the Sabres team's been playing. Chicago's been letting up a lot of goals recently in their games. 4-2 Sabres.
I'm going to go on the other hand. Sabres on a point streak, but all good things must come to an end. And I think tonight is the end of the Sabres point streak. I think it's going to be a close one. I think these teams are sort of similar. Pat Kane is having one of the quietest, really good seasons, I think, in a long time. Like you said earlier, Maniac, he's got 78 points this year. I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe I'm just not paying attention. I'm sure Chicago fans know. I did not know that he had 78 points. So that's impressive. I'm sure he'll get at least 1 point tonight. But regardless, I'm going to go 4-3 Chicago in regulation point weekends tonight, unfortunately, but maybe they'll grab it back later this week.
I'm going to go a complete blowout by Buffalo, 5-1. Buffalo Sabres. They had 2 games in a row where they, you wish you would have, got it fully in the garage and won and didn't just have to settle for loser points. The Chicago Blackhawks are a team that struggled this season, traded away their goalie, traded away Brandon Hagel. They're kind of like in a rebuild mode. And personally, for me, I just think, Buffalo has played so well against these more upper echelon teams in the league. Chicago, if you can play that game consistently against Chicago tonight, there's no reason you shouldn't absolutely, rip these guys apart. And I'm going to call it 5-1. Is Craig Anderson in that again? Do we know?
Give me 3 seconds.
Is Andy in that? That's another big,
Did I come through there? I think we got to Carson.
On the NHL app, we have Tokarski starting tonight.
Okay.
Well, even with Tokarski, and I'll go 5-3. But I still think Buffalo pulls the win out tonight, and plays relatively well start to finish. Maybe you have a couple streaky shifts here and there, but I definitely think Buffalo wins this game 5-3.
And folks, I know we're dropping the puck right now, literally, but if you haven't gotten them, make sure you get your tickets to RJ Night this Friday. Chance to see it. Ceremony starts 20 minutes before the game. It'll be an amazing time for any Sabres fan. I got Sabres winning 3-2. The point streak stays live because here on Crossing Swords pregame show, it's all about 3 words.
Let's go, Buffalo!